Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are in the middle of previewing a bunch of teams with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com in the off-season. It is late June right now, but Steve only covers college football all year round, so he's very, very up to the minute, up to date on all these teams. Right now, we're going to take a look at Baylor. Steve, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you for having me back, Peter.
All right, before we get into Baylor, an interesting team. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about their forecast for the upcoming year. Brag a little bit about collegefootballwinning.com. Tell everyone why your opinion is so valuable.
I would be happy to. Thank you, Peter. At collegefootballwinning.com, all we do is college football betting analysis 365 days out of the year. I believe we're the only such service to offer a 100% money-back guarantee on the entire season. Last year, our formula picks, those are our algorithmic betting selections, and we're a company founded on making selections, betting selections algorithmically, beat the spread at a rate of 66.18%. Formula lifetime is 63.04% against the spread. We hope people want to join us, and if they do, they can go to collegefootballwinning.com, put in coupon code SBR10, that's SBR10, and you'll get 10% off of any membership that we're currently offering.
All right, Steve, Baylor. Baylor's a pretty impressive program, actually. You know, they were 9-4 against the spread last year and 8-1 against the spread at home, 8-4-1 over-under on the year. So, maybe a little bit under the radar in the post-Robert Griffin era in terms of betting on them. And in terms of the explosiveness on offense, they're about 24-1 to win the national championship, which puts them ranked about 9th nationally. What do you think? You think Baylor's going to be a top 10 team this year?
Well, you and I talked about an article that I wrote on SBR. It was called Conditions for Profitable College Football Betting. And that was, if you don't mind, I'll discuss their against the spread season prospects first. Then we'll get into the national championship futures. What we said in that article, or what we wrote in that article, was what's desirable if you are looking for a successful against the spread college football season. You want to be unranked in the preseason polls, especially in the AP. Well, Baylor will be ranked, probably in the top 10 in the AP preseason, even though it's 2 months away. Put that in perspective. The last time Baylor was ranked in the preseason AP poll was 1986. So in other words, this is all about expectations. Expectations are going to be higher for Baylor this season, coming into the season, than they have been since 1986 and arguably even longer. So that's a bad against the spread sign. Number two, you want the team to have been unprofitable the prior against the spread season. As you said, Baylor was definitely profitable, going 9-4 against the spread. Number three, you want to see an increase in their straight-up wins from the prior season. Well, 2013, that was the first time that Baylor won 11 straight-up games. So in order to increase that number, they would have to win at least 12 straight-up games. That means the Baylor Bears could lose no more than one game, and that includes this assumed bowl game that they'll be playing in. That's pretty tough. That's a tough road to hoe when you're playing teams like Texas and Oklahoma away. Just to give you an idea, under Art Briles at Baylor, Baylor is just 1-4 straight up when they're playing those two schools away, and that's where they have to go this season. Let's talk about Art Briles for a moment. Since coming to Baylor in 2008, Art Briles is 61.33% against the spread. When you consider his entire college football head coaching tenure at all schools, he's the 6th most profitable head coach against the spread in all of college football for coaches who have been head coaches for at least 100 line games. Under Art Briles, his Bears are an amazing 69.23% against the spread at home, but a narrowly profitable 53.13% against the spread away. Now that home-away chasm has only deepened the last 3 seasons. For example, or as a point of fact, Baylor is an otherworldly 90.48% against the spread at home the last 3 seasons. That's crazy. While they're just 44.44% against the spread away. So home away, big difference for Baylor. Here are our concerns, or my concerns, with fifth-year senior quarterback Bryce Petty, who is outstanding. He leads a scoring offense that finished in the top 4 the last 3 seasons. Now, Bryce Petty last year finished 7th in the Heisman voting. This year, for the 2014 preseason, Bryce Petty has the 4th shortest Heisman odds. So the fans should be elated. He's an amazing talent at quarterback, but bettors should be far more reserved. Why? Number one, Bryce Petty is a known and outstanding quantity. So in other words, expectations for him and Baylor's offense in general could not be any higher. That's bad. Expectations are super high. So they will be built into the betting line, those high expectations, and then some. Second, despite Baylor's ultra-potent passing game featuring perhaps 2014's best receiving core, the nucleus of Art Briles' offense is still their running game. In the last 3 seasons when Baylor's been the most effective, Baylor's quarterbacks ran the ball 25.7% of all of Baylor's running plays. It's a lot of running for a quarterback. Now, 2013 saw the quarterback, Bryce Petty, run the least of those 3 seasons because they had great running back depth, so they kept him healthy. Well, 2013, that was the first time, in fact, it was the first season that Art Briles at Baylor had 4 running backs run for more rushing yards than his quarterback. 2 of 2013's 4 running backs returned, but the 2 that left, they were responsible for around 58% of Baylor's rushing yards in 2013. So the offensive backfield for Baylor is talented, but they have depth issues. And Briles already has called for Petty to step up his running game. I think that's a problem because should Petty get injured, I mean, the more often he runs, the more likely it is he's going to get injured. Should he get injured, the quarterbacks behind him are uncharacteristically inexperienced for an Art Briles Baylor team. That could be trouble. So our season conclusion. We're looking for Baylor to be less profitable against the spread this season, 2014, than they have been the last 3 years. Now looking at futures. 2015 National Championship is going to be determined by playing off 4 teams chosen by just 13 people on the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. That's the most subjective method of determining the 4 best teams since before the BCS. Since that process is so new and it's so subjective, we are recommending the most conservative approach to national championship futures betting. 2013, Baylor won their first Big 12 title, and it was the first year that Art Briles fielded a Baylor team with a scoring defense in the top 75. Going into 2013, if we were talking about this last season, Baylor would be returning 73.6% of their tackles. That was the 36th best in the country. This year, they returned just 50.3% of their tackles. That's 112th best. It's not very good. So that looks like 2013 will be the first time since Briles' first season, or it was in 2013, the first time since Briles' first season at Baylor that the turnover margin was in the top 35. Now, they are losing, their takeaway expertise was interceptions. They're 6th best in the country in interceptions. They're losing their top 3 interception leaders. They're going to take away almost 75% of their interceptions from last year. Turnover margin, super critical for against the spread success. Teams ranking in the top 10 in turnover margin last year collectively finished at 64.15% against the spread. That is not going to be as strong this year for Baylor. Some other facts about Baylor betting on the Baylor Bears. When the public majority has been on Baylor's side in home games, public has been right. They've won 72% of their games against the spread. Now, the Bears are 77.78% against the spread as home favorites under Art Briles, but they're just 50% against the spread as home underdogs. Reverse line movement. You and I have talked about this in season, off season. Usually an indicator of where the sharp money has gone when it opposes the majority of the public betting. Reverse line movement side has been wrong more often than it's been right in Baylor games. Now, their running game, as it relates to the betting line, when holding opponents, holding opposing offenses to less than 100 rushing yards, Baylor is 93.75% against the spread. That's incredible. But when Baylor themselves, when they were held to under 100 rushing yards, they're an abysmal 21.43% against the spread. Now, the totals, the over. The over has been correct in 61.9% of all of Baylor's games. However, the public majority has been on the over in 97.26% of all of Baylor's games since Art Briles has been there. And that's crazy. That's almost every single one. So be careful with those overs, people. The conclusion, our money is not going to be on Baylor in a national championship futures bet, and we expect Baylor to have their least profitable against the spread season in the last 3 years, even though they're a very good team.
All right. Makes a lot of sense, Steve. Thanks so much.